Welcome to Los Championship Rounds. I'm your host, Juan Ramirez. Today's episode is brought to you by Cutmen for Hire Supplies, the best in Cutman supplies, and also by Stitch Premium Cut Cream. You can get that at stitchcuts with a Z.com. And I recommend it for all coaches to have at the gym because you never know, your fighter may get hurt, scratched up, or even cut. And that cut cream works miracles within a couple of days. So, check it out. Today, I'm happy to have this guest, man. Me and Jose go back some time. I remember when he started, but let me go ahead and formally introduce him. Jose Soto, better known as Jose Mega Soto. Mega, how you doing today, brother?
How's it going, Juan? I'm doing great. 2 days away from weigh-ins, a day and a half away from weigh-ins, 2 days away from stepping in there again after a year off.
And you know what? I want to say thank you for taking the interview with such a, within, like you said, a day and a half from weigh-ins. I know a lot of times it's these are the roughest, they could be the roughest of times because of the weight cut and just being focused. But I wanted to have you on to bring us into that world, those last 24 48 hours before you step in that ring or on that scale, and let our let your fans know what Mega's goes through during that period. You were just mentioning that you're up in Coachella, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm out of Coachella, Lee Espinosa's Coachella Valley Boxing Club. I live out in Palm Desert, which is about 15 minutes away. But same heat. It doesn't change. The heat is insane out here. We're at the tail end of it. Is mid-August, so I hope finishing August, early September, the heat wave will leave. So we'll just get perfect weather after that for like 9 months.
Yeah, and we were just talking that I can't complain. I'm in San Diego and I'm complaining it's hot, but I know 110 degrees. That ain't no joke.
Then add the headgear and then throwing some
right.
pounds. You're like, I can't breathe. It's whoa.
And I'm sure there's no AC in the gym, right?
No, I mean there is a little fan that they turn on like, with AC from the heater and all that. Has a little fan, but they do that doesn't exist.
That just
defeats the purpose.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think once the sweat stops burning your eyes, you're in the groove already. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ya ni cuenta te das
of
anything. Yeah.
I just gotta. How many more rounds I got?
Right. Yeah. So Jose, tell us where does this where do you start? I mean, getting into the fight game. How old were you, or when did that cosquilla, like we say, get into you to get into the punching game?
It happened. Goes back to when I was 13 years old. I was 13. I was a knucklehead out there in Inglewood, California. I was born and raised in Inglewood. And one of my friends, middle school friends, he was already boxing apparently, and at the community gym, which was Rogers Park in Inglewood community boxing gym. So it was free. So, I mean, being from a low income family most of my life, right? I went ahead and found my way there with him. And then within the first week, I mean, maybe like 2 days after I started, I stood up to some guy that was bullying a friend of mine in middle school. We had just started, like, I think it was sixth grade, something like that, seventh grade. And it was like the first week. I started boxing the first week, right? And I just got confident, right? So I was like stepped up to the bully. He was bullying him, and I told him to leave alone. He was like a nerd, and he was just bullying him. I told him to stop. And he was like, meet me outside after school. We'll fight. I was like, whatever, man. He ends up crashing into me outside. We fight. I beat him up pretty bad. But that just, it's two routes at that point in your life. It's either like you're going to go straight into boxing and stay there, or you're going to get dragged into the street, right? Yes. So I ended up doing a little bit of both. And that's what kind of derailed me from going 100% in boxing when I was 13. I trained from 13 to 15 for 2 years straight. And I kept, I had a man at the time that kept coming around as my little brother's dad. At the moment, I thought he was my father, right? But he wasn't, apparently. But he kept coming in and around, and I always asked him for things, right? Always was boxing. I was like, hey, there's a fight coming up. They asked me to get licensed. Obviously, low income family. I was like, it was a single mother, 4 kids. I asked my mom, she was there. I'm like, man, I'm trying to put food on this table. I'm crazy. Trying to go spend like $50 for a license. You're crazy. You know how much we get with 50 in those years? So she ends up saying no. I would go to him, and he says, yeah, he promised me month after month after month that he was going to do it. He never did it. And I kind of lost interest. I was like, I guess they're not interested enough, or why am I going to push it?
Yeah.
I liked it, but I didn't love it. And then the guys at the gym that I was like training with, sparring with, they were competing. So I just kind of got bummed. And then I left. And then once I left to the streets. And then four high schools after being kicked out, every single one, like 3 of them. And then I went to continuation school to try to get my diploma there. First week, got into trouble and got another fight, got kicked out, homeschooled the rest of high school. And by the age of 18, I was, I was like 17, and then I went back to the gym heavier. And same coach was there. I started training again for like a week, and then he asked me, I guess, I don't know if he was in a bad mood or not, right? But that stuck with me forever to date, right? He looks at me and he's like, what do you want with boxing? One day he's like wrapping me up. He's like, what do you want with boxing? I was like, man, I just want to fight. Like, I never got to fight. And all these guys fought, and now none of them are here. Like, they're not even around. The guys, your superstars that were like junior Olympic guys, the kids that were winning all these silver gloves, they're nowhere to be found anymore. And I walked in with no fight still. I have a little bit of experience. And he just asked me that, like, kind of in a like harsh way, still a kid. And he's like, what do you want with boxing? And I was like, I just want to fight. And he was like, but what do you want? Like, are you looking for money? And I was like, nah, man, I just want to fight. Because there's no money in boxing for you, right? If you're not a superstar, like, and he name dropped those guys that I was competing with, but they're not even there anymore. So he's like, if you're not a superstar like them, like Beto and Barry, there's no money in boxing for you. He's like, so just quit it. And I'm like,
wow.
Who put this guy in charge? I think he's supposed to try to get kids out of the street. Turned me around and walked out of that gym, and I was like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. And then I left. I never looked back. I never went back to that gym. Fast forward like a year and a half later, I have another friend. Now I'm out of high school. I'm out here doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing. I crash into a friend, and his name is Victor, and he was doing Muay Thai out of Inglewood. And I got brought through Victor to my first coach, my second coach at that point, Rod McKeever, Team Victory in Inglewood. And that, I got attracted to it because he didn't have a boxer. And I guess my friend kind of pitched it to him, like, hey, he's a former boxer, he boxes. And then he's like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Like, I used to box a little bit back in the day. So whatever, he started training me. I was heavier set, so I always like came forward with my flat feet, like just trying to brawl with people like in a street fight. And then he's like, oh no, man. He's like, you need to get on your toes. He's like, twice a week you're gonna practice Muay Thai. So you could just hop on your feet and not kick you. So you can not get kicked, And so me trying to evade kicks, because I hated kicks, I got really light on my toes, like super light on my toes. And I was able to find a gauge where I can flip it off, flip it on, like boxing Muay Thai. I started helping the Muay Thai guys get ready. At one point, they brought boxers in from Inglewood Boxing Gym, Rogers Park, because we were now the second fight gym in Inglewood. So they had no other choice but to come to like a Muay Thai gym to get some work, right? So we found some work there. They came, I gave them work, and then eventually he was like, hey man, you're pretty good, like Muay Thai. He's like, let's get you a fight. I was like originally against it because I was like, I haven't even fought boxing.
Right.
I started the fight journey because of boxing, and I'm over here kicking now. So we took a trip to Las Vegas, and I took a smoker fight. I got there, the guy was like 15 pounds heavier. I didn't care. He gave me a task. I dropped from like 165 to 140. I made 142. The guy was like 160. I was like, so I just dropped all the way for nothing. I ended up fighting the guy. I lost the fight by decision, but then it hurt because I was like, I didn't even box. Come on. I did Muay Thai and I lost. I want to do it again, but just to win, to get that little thorn out of me, right? So he gives me a fight a month later, exactly a month later. We come back from February. It was like 2010, I think, 2009. We come back and then we go straight into Van Nuys and I fight this guy that already had like 3 fights. And I stopped him like a second. And I was like, all right, now I'm good. And he's like, all right, your next fight, as promised, is going to be a boxing fight. So then I go, I rile up everybody. I was like, man, it'd be like, it was free. So it was at the Venice Beach Boardwalk.
Okay.
They closed down the basketball court. They put a ring in the middle, free event for everybody. And I go ahead and do it. I did the fight. I felt like it was half of Inglewood. They came out and supported me, family, friends, people. I was just fresh out of school. So people that knew me from school, people that I had met already out of school. And it was insane. It was like 80, 85 people or something like that. And I get in there and I choked. I gassed out by the second round, and then I think they didn't stop it, but it was dominated all the way through. Third, and I got dominated, and I was like, wow, that was terrible in front of everybody. And that was the first and only fight as a date, right, that my mom ever went to. So that one hurt ever.
Got everybody there. Everybody, mom,
everyone, and especially my mom. I walked out and I had tears in my eyes, but because I saw that my mom saw me lose, and I was like, wow, this hurts. It hurts different. I never experienced it, right?
Yeah.
So then she was like, I never want to see you fight again like that. And like I was like, wow, I just lost her. Like with this type of performance, I just blew it for myself, right? And yeah, I had that boxing fight. I started fighting. I think with Muay Thai, I went 6, 2, and 1, something like that. So I had like 9 fights, and then I stopped. I didn't stop Muay Thai and then kept boxing. I kept doing both at the same time, and then I finally put an end to Muay Thai, kept boxing, and I boxed until like I want to say I was 23, 23 and a half, and I came out. I think it was like 16 wins and like 9 or 10 losses, something like that. I wasn't trained. I felt like I wasn't trained correctly. It was always up to like me, like conditioning and dieting and all that. It was, a bunch of pad work. And it's just what now I know what good training is, right? So I wasn't trained correctly, but it was the experience that I needed, They got me to where I was at. I had a little fallout with that gym, that coach, and I took almost like a 2-year hiatus from fighting, and I became depressed. I became just all the negatives that life can hit you with. I was at that point 203 pounds, and I was fighting at 135 before, and I went up to 203. I remember the day I actually weighed myself, and at that point I had a baby on the way, my daughter Adrian. So about 6 years ago now, and I remember I had just moved in with my Adrian's mom, my baby mama, and I was sitting and I remember I had eaten this huge meal. I love food. I mean, everybody loves food. I love food. Like I would almost competitively eat. I eat more than everybody. So then I remember I had a stomach ache. I went to the restroom. I was like sitting on the toilet. I was like, wow, this is terrible. And I just got up and I was like, let me weigh myself. I haven't weighed myself like months. I know I'm big. I just don't know how big. I got on the scale that I pulled out from under the sink because that's where I put it. I put it away. And then I was 202.8. And I sat back down in the toilet and I started crying. And I didn't know what to do with my life. I was already depressed. I was already sad. I saw the number that just added fuel to the fire. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, what do I do? At that moment, precisely while I was crying, I don't know what I was thinking, right? That's what I'm pretty sure happens to a lot of people. I decided to sit there. I was like crying. I was trying to get it together, and then I just start scrolling, and I think I was on Facebook at the time, and I started scrolling, and I saw Edgar, Coach Edgar from 818 Boxing, Edgar Ponce. He uh he posted a picture of Ron Cruz,
Mhm.
and Ron Cruz had just debuted pro in
Yes.
boxing at that moment, and I was like, me and Ron were in the amateurs in Muay Thai together. Obviously, Ron 19-1 and 1 and or
Yeah.
19-3 in Muay Thai. He was great in Muay Thai. But I guess Edgar had linked up with Virgil Hill Sr. And at that point, Virgil Hill Sr. had a little platform over there in North Dakota and turned Ron pro and made it a big old nice production. I was like, wow. And then the second fight's coming up, and I'm like, that's the post I ran through, and I see Ron. Last time I had seen Ron was like almost like a beer belly and 190 pounds fighting one time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
185 pounds. But now go to the Ron I'm looking at on this post, he has like an 8-pack, shredded. And I was like, I'm Ronnie when he was fighting Muay Thai now. And
Yeah.
Ron's where I should be in my head, right? That's what I thought. I'm like, how did this guy that had more Muay Thai fights than me, never had boxing experience, already go pro and he's about to be 2-0? I compared myself, but maybe that's what I needed, right? And once I saw that, I was like, click, Edgar, message. I had already cut ties with the other coach. So I had messaged Edgar. I messaged Edgar, immediately called me. We started talking. I'm like, look, man, I live all the way in Carson, California, like even more south than Inglewood, like another 15 minutes.
Okay.
I don't know how I would do it. I know you're out there in San Fernando. I don't know how I would even think of doing it. Or he was in Sun Valley at the moment. And I was like, but I want to give you a try. I seen what you did with Ron. I don't see no difference in me. Why would you be able to do that with me? So then I get there. The next day, actually 2 days later, because the next day he said, let me call your old coach Rod, because at the end of the day, it's about respect.
Correct.
Just with that, that's when I was locked Edgar. I was like, wow, okay. Called Edgar. He called Rod, and Rod answered, and he was like, you're gonna have the hardest work in the room. Good luck with Jose. So I went the next day after that. So 2 days after, I pulled up to Edgar, and obviously, I mean, I was out of shape, terrible, out of air within like 2 rounds. He didn't even have me spar. He had me hold mitts, and I was gassed out. And he was like, "But I see something in you. Let's get you down in weight. Let's start with that." I was like, "I'll train you, but you just gotta start losing weight."
Hmm.
I was like, "All right." I was, it's gonna be hard. I'm working full time. I'm out of like LAX at the time working, and I was working all the office hours. So I was out at what 4:30, 5 p.m. and I had to drive from 5 p.m. up to 4:30. I got off at 4:30. I would drive an hour and a half up north to Sun Valley, and I would get there by 6:30, and I wouldn't leave there till 9. So I would get back home by 10. At that point, I have a pregnant girlfriend sitting next to me, and she feels like this dude is doing his own thing. And that's how it went for months and months and months and months and months. I sacrificed a lot. I was out there every single day. It was rough. It took me about 11 months, and I got down from 203 to like 152. After 152 got there, he's like, all right, well, now we could start looking for a fight. Keep going, don't stop, because you're nowhere near you need to be at.
Yeah.
Let's look for a fight, and let's get you an amateur fight. I was like, what? I was like, I'm ready to go pro. Yeah, right, buddy. He's like, you need to go amateur first. You need to go get your feet wet again. Let's do it. So then I got down to like 145, 143, and then he's like, all right, there's a tournament that maybe we'll take it at like 140 or something. And we went to a tournament in Arizona under Virgil, like with this, like I was at a reservation, Indian reservation. I go the 3-day thing, and I didn't even fight. Virgil didn't show up, and we ended up not qualifying under like the rules of being, uh, I guess, what do you call it? Native American, right?
Native. Yeah.
Unless it was with Virgil. So since he didn't go, they were like, "Nah, sorry, no fight for you." I was like, So I just took it.
Wow.
Okay, all right, whatever. So for our troubles, I think we ended up getting like $300 or something like that. So we used that towards securing my spot in TJ, a slot.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, get to work. You're 140. Let's get you pro. He's like, we'll do 135 for your first one. I'm like, wow. In my head, I was like, wow, 135. I was 203, but here it is. Finally, I was like, all right, let's do it. So we did it, and then at July 16th or something like that, 2016, I debuted in TJ against some guy that was like 0-8. I should have knocked him out. He had been knocked out like 5, 6 times, and I went on 4 rounds with him. I was like, wow, I'm tired. I was exhausted. I was like, oh man, first time fighting 4 rounds. I couldn't get this guy out of there. A lot of doubt in my head. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, but I love it. I don't care if I pay. I don't care if I'm walking away with empty pockets. I need to do this again. Kind of like I didn't lose, but I felt like I let myself down. I felt short of what
Yeah.
I do. So I went in there. I took a harder opponent. Took a guy with like 2 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws, 132 pounds this time for my second fight, but the guy was 6'1". Obviously, you know this because you've been in my
Yeah.
corner every single fight but my last fight. Uh, I fought this super tall guy and I beat him 6 rounds, all rounds, 5 points. I was boxing him from the outside surprisingly and making a miss and being able to go in
Mhm.
and out, in and out. So I did a lot more of what I knew I could do, and I got the win. And it was 6 rounds, went from 4 to 6, and I did it with good air. I didn't. I was
On your second fight, you were fighting a 6 rounder.
6 rounds, and then
Yeah.
we needed to step it
Yeah.
up. We gotta hit the gas.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
not a baby. You're not 18 years old. You need to hit the gas. So my third fight, also a 6 rounder, and it just kept on going until I got to like 10-0, and then I was like, wow, I got to 10-0. By that 10-0, I had already fought a lot of them in TJ, 3 times in North Dakota,
Mhm.
2 times in North Dakota. My 11th fight was in North Dakota, and that's when I took my first loss. Uh, I was going through
Okay.
again life, I had finally at that point I had finally split. There was a time where ninth, 10th, and 11th fight, it was the whole split between me and my daughter's
Mhm.
mom, and I was too focused right on that. I'm trying to keep that together, but I didn't pay attention to what I was doing way back then. Too focused boxing, not focused on. So it died away, which whatever. Maybe that's what needed to happen. I took it hard. I went through ups and downs, and then I took that loss, and then I really put things in perspective. I'm like, whoa, okay, so I really wasn't focused. I lost to this guy because I gave him this one. I didn't get beat like I gave
Mhm.
him myself. It was all more here. It was me versus me. And I took it at my 11th fight, so I didn't feel like, well, I got to 10-0. Now I'm at 10-1. Let's keep on at it. And then, like about, I think maybe a year off or a little bit less than a year. And then Edgar got me back in there. I got like 2 more wins. I got another win, and I was 11-1. And then pandemic hit. I didn't fight for a while, and then boom, the pandemic came, and I was like, whoa, okay. So time off. Um, Still dedicated. I was still at the gym every single day. I was pandemic, so I was like teaching a lot more. Um, I met a girl at that gym, because I was focused. I felt like I was the best version of myself. I had like right before the pandemic, I was already getting really, really dedicated. Like since I was at the gym a lot more, Edgar gave me opportunities to make money at the gym. So kept me in the gym by keeping me at the gym. I just fed off of like, if I'm here and if I'm not working, right, then I'm working. I never not working. That was what I
You're
was
working
doing.
on yourself as
I
well.
was
Yeah.
always working on something. If it was not, I wasn't on a pull-up bar or on the ground doing push-ups. If I wasn't training somebody, if I wasn't trying to pep talk somebody to get it right, or I was always trying to do something, right? And finally, like right before the pandemic hit, there's a girl walked in. real pretty. Not you could tell that she wasn't from around. She is, but she wasn't, right? She came from the New York side, but she was born and raised like in the area, but different. And Edgar was like played Cupid, introduced me to her, and he knew that that would be like a good fit, but she wasn't into me. I spent the next 6 months courting her at the gym. I became like her coach. I was like, hey, I'll give you free mitts. Yeah, I won't charge you. Don't worry about it. Blah, 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 blah. I started getting her better. And after 6 months, I finally asked her to be my girlfriend. She became my girlfriend, which is now my fiance. Uh, in through all that, pandemic happened. Obviously, I always shared stuff with her, and like we always confided in each other. And then as soon as the pandemic was ending, uh, I got this was 2000 during the pandemic, but 2017, I got a fight in TJ, and you were actually there.
Yeah, yeah.
And Marcos Caballero, who
Mhm.
trains Chocolatito now, was actually there.
Yes, I remember.
He had
Mhm.
Villalobos fighting under him at that event. The
Mhm.
guy was all tatted up, Steven Villalobos, and he had him, and then he saw what I was representing, which is my country, Nicaragua, and he was like, "Oh, Nicaraguense." He's like, "Hey, man," he's like, "if you ever want to come down, come get some
Mhm.
sparring." And since that day, every about 3 to 4 months, he did not stop messaging on Facebook, and I would always leave him on red because of the loyalty I had to Edgar.
Yeah, yeah.
I was tempted. Don't get me wrong. He was like, "Man, I know his son, Randy Caballero, as a world champion, represents my country. Why wouldn't I know him?" And then his son was signed to Golden Boy. I followed him on Instagram. I was like, "Man, like this guy got it going on. Like he could probably get me to where I need to get to." But my loyalty to Edgar, I knew everything we had already sacrificed and invested in my career, and I was invested into his gym. And I never really told Edgar that until the talk finally came during the pandemic. He actually messaged me again, and there was a lull. I wasn't fighting. There was no fights, right? So I was just constantly in the gym. And then Chocolatito gets an offer to fight. I think he was gonna fight Estrada. He got sick, and then they fought Yafai, and he became a world champ. And I was like, I was scoping that scene out a lot, right? Because I knew Marcos was training him. And then Marco gets back. He goes to like Vegas to corner this other guy that I was following on Instagram. And I messaged Marcos during the pandemic, and I was like, "Hey man, good luck out there." I hadn't talked to him, and then I go back to
Yeah.
all the messages, and I had not answered him, but like excuse after excuse of why I couldn't go, or I'll go next week, and I don't know why he even got kept on and like, "Hey man, what's up? How you doing? And come on down." Must be the Nika in him or something that he's always trying to keep
Mhm.
Nicaraguenses together or something, you know? It's not too many of us out here in the sport.
Yeah.
So he was always like trying to reach out and trying to reach out. And I was like, "Man, this guy bugs." Finally, I reached out because I wanted to grab attention. You know, I was like, "Hey man, good luck out there." And he's like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing? When are you gonna fight? Come on down and spar." He's like, "I got my boy and this and that." And I was like, he's like, "What you weighing?" And I was like, I'm pretty decent in weight. I'm like 137. When I fight at 130 right there at that point. I'm like 137, 138." And he was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, I mean, if you get a little lower, he's like, "Come on down. I could get you some rounds with Chocolatito." I was like, "What?" That's like an idol to me. I'm like,
Right.
"You're crazy, really?" I was like, "You don't even know my experience. You just know that I'm pro, but you don't even know how good am I or anything. You're just all right, yeah." And I filled in my girl at the time, Brooke. Now she's my fiance, but I started talking to her. I was like filling her in about the progress that of just always talking to Marcos, but like leaving him on red, giving him excuses. And she's like, "Well, why are you doing that? Like, if you say who that guy
Mhm.
is who he is, right? Like him and the fighter. She didn't know boxing until she got on this side. We took the trip, and she was like, "You know what? Let's do it." She said, "Let's go spend the weekend out there. Maybe you can go get some like we could train Friday and Saturday, and have a day off over there on Sunday." I was like, "Let's do it." Initially, the weekend was like $400. First weekend we came, boom, we came out here. I trained, I sparred. First time I came, I sparred Andrew Cancio, Randy Caballero, and Romel Caballero, two former world champions, and his up and coming son. His up and coming son was a little heavier. He was like on the verge of like kind of backing away from boxing. Randy was on his way coming back in, trying to get his feet wet again, and Gontiel the same thing. I was like, all right, yeah, perfect guys. Like they're like not too sharp, so I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
kind of show my stuff, and I was a little faster than them, so it kind of made me look all right. But I got tired. Third 3 minute round, I was exhausted. He's like, yeah, that's it. We don't want to put you more because then you're probably gonna throw up. Here, the heat is different. I was like,
Yeah.
you're right. I felt it. So then he gives me a couple of minutes real quick, and then he's like, hey man, well, I mean, doors are open. He's like, if you want to come next weekend, he's like, Choco will be getting ready to spar, so maybe you could get some rounds with. I was like, all right. If I just sparred these three guys and the quality of sparring I got was crazy, this is serious is getting me with Chocolatito. So sure enough, I went back. I tell Edgar everything. I filled him in. And when I told Edgar that, he saw the excitement, he saw the sparkle in my eye, and he was just like, "You've been working hard, man." He's like, "It's gonna be hard for me to move you how I want to move you and how you need to be moved." He gave me the green light. He said, "Go. If you could go every weekend, and you got the support from your lady, go.
Yeah.
You got my support. I'm not gonna hold you back. I want you to learn. I want you to grow. I want you to. If you ever become a world champion, you came out of my gym, and that right there, that's a badge I wear." I was like, "Let me get out there." So the next weekend, I had a Mark was like, "Hey, I'm on my way." He's like, "All right, we'll see you here." And sure enough, that Friday it happened, and Saturday morning, I was sparring Chocolatito. I gave him 3 rounds. I was like, "Whoa, okay, this I can get used to." And
Well,
then
that must have been surreal, right? Like to
it
see,
was like,
like
poof, just blew up in my
yeah.
face. Like, whoa. And then my girl saw obviously 2 weeks of that consistency. She's like, all right, so who the hell is this guy? And then we sat
Mhm.
down, we started watching videos, and then like a little documentary on him.
Mhm.
Said, wow, this guy's a legend already.
Yes.
And you just got in there with it. This is crazy. And then she's like, wow. And then they kind of saw that she was training and this and that. And then I've always said it. I've always said it from the time, maybe like 3 months after I started training, helping train my girl. I told her like, if you were to go into boxing, you would become a world champion. She was like, what? You're crazy. I just want one boxing fight, amateur, just check it off my bucket list. I have no business fight like this. But I just want to do it because a bucket list.
Yeah.
I want to check it off. Uh we got here, they saw her hitting mitts, hitting the bag, and then they're like, yo, like she's good. I was like, I tell you now, if you guys groom her, she's gonna be a world champion. And they looked at me like, she has no fights. And how many fights does she have? Because every single time the question was, how many fights does she have? Not has she ever fought, right? So they
Yeah.
saw experience in her, which I already saw that prior. So I was telling them like she's gonna be a world champion. I'm telling you. And they're like, well, how many fights does she have? Like, she has no fights. They were like, what? You're crazy. I was like, no, she has no fights. She's never fought in her life. So then they started giving her some sparring, and she started dominating girls. She started dominating some of the younger kids. And they're like, whoa, okay, she's pretty good. And then we both just kept growing and growing. Every weekend we would come, grow and grow and get better and get better and get better. And then came the end of that camp for Israel Gonzalez versus Chocolatito in Mexico.
Yeah.
We bonded. We came every single weekend for 2 months, 2 full months. So 8 weeks. I was part of the camp only on weekends. For the last 3 or 4 weeks, we came Thursday, so I could get an extra day of sparring with him. Thursday, Friday, Saturday sparred again, and then Sunday we'd go home. So now it became 4 day weekends over here. The tab went from four to like $600. My girl looked at me like, "What are we doing here?" So we're just gonna keep spending $600 a week for three days of training. Like, so money was starting to get tight. We thought and we thought the camp was coming to an end. And I remember Mark was coming up to me while I was hitting the bag, and he's like, "Hey man," he's like, "So what's the deal? Like, you gonna keep just coming every weekend?" Or he's like, "Look, man, I'm gonna tell you this. If you ever decide to come out here, move out here, you got me as your coach. I'm gonna help you, and I'll get with you, and we'll ride till the wheels fall off."
Mhm.
So I'm being offered world class training that people pay stupid money for. outrageous amounts of money for free, technically. Gym dues, none. It's community gym. It's a nonprofit organization that Elias Espinosa has going on there. So I don't pay the gym fees. My coach trains me off his heart, off the strength, how we say. And that's how it's been for 2 years. November 2021? No, 2020. Yeah. We decided to move. And I had a long talk with Edgar, and Edgar had already given me the green light to come and like get my sparring in here. And he's like, that's the move for you. He's Nicaraguan, so when he's gonna take care of you because you're one of his own. The relations you guys are having is probably gonna go into something deeper than just a fighter and a coach. You're gonna move with someone, with your girl, like it's just everything's pointing in that direction. You have my blessing, you're still part of my team. I don't care what anybody says. And till date, I still rock my 1A boxing patch every time I fight because that's my family. Came out here 2 years later. I fought once under Marcos. Obviously, I've already been part of 3 camps for Chocolatito. I felt them out for the last 3 fights: Gonzalez, Estrada, and Ray Martinez. It's been nothing but knowledge that I've gotten here. The humility throughout the whole camp is insane. So it makes you humble. It brings you down to the earth. It makes you smell the flowers for real, the realness. You just learn so much from him, from faith to boxing to loving what you do. If you don't love this, you have no business doing it at all. That's one thing.
And that's one thing, Jose, that I've seen, because I've known you 6 years. We've known each other
from the beginning.
I've seen that transformation in you, and I would credit this to, I mean, obviously you gotta want to change.
You gotta want it, yeah.
But I also saw the different components, like you said, Brooke coming into your life. You guys make an awesome team. Since I met her, I knew she was the one for you. She wasn't trying to, get you down. She was uplifting you and her. So, I did notice that. So, I mean, I've seen that change in you, man. I mean, you were pretty cocky back 6 years ago.
For no reason.
Which was, but
it's a good thing to have.
It's a good thing, yeah.
The confidence, but then the arrogance is different, right?
But like you said, now 6 years later, you've gone to spar with world champions and all that, and you've learned a lot. You've grown a lot. I can say that, and you're becoming not only a better boxer but a better human being. I would say. I think you always had a good heart, but all these life lessons make us better. Make us better people. So
you either take them and you get better with them, or you take them and you learn from them. And I think when you learn from them, you decide. I mean, that's when you make that decision, you learn and you grow. And the transition wasn't easy. I mean, still ain't easy. Work comes and goes here. It's not really like, because another role that I took on was, as we made the switch over here, I decided, well, I'm not alone in this, right? Like, I made the move, yes, for myself. Yeah, like, but I'm not selfish. And I know that when we decided to move, I was like putting half of like a management coach hat from my girl, my lady, Brooke. And she only started compete when I fought my last fight, which I lost in Nicaragua. Nicaraguan politics, whatever. It is what I thought. I was Nicaragua all the way. I come in with my robe, big Nicaragua emblem. Like, I'm Nicaraguan, I'm dark too, so I don't even look like a white boy. And they're like, no, that dude's a white boy. He's from America. Our guys Nicaraguan. So like, damn.
Hey, welcome. Like when we go back to Mexico, like, you ain't
oh, that's Chile. Yeah, that's a white boy.
You ain't you ain't Nicaraguan.
I was an American boy. I was like, nah, man, I'm Nicaraguan. I'm with Chocolatito. Come on, he's a white. Come on. And they were like, nah. They were cheering him on. All the judges were from there, so whatever. I felt like I earned a draw minimum, but if I felt like I earned a draw minimum, I deserve to take the L. In my eyes, right? Because nothing's ever given to you the way you want it, right? So I felt like I earned a draw at least. But if it comes to that point, then give me the L. I'll take it proudly because I should have done more. I let it slip out of my hand again. I felt that it was a lot of adjusting from 818 to Coachella Valley boxing, from Edgar Ponce to Marcos Caballero. Yeah, it was a whole year, but it was like on and off camps. I was helping out other people in their camps while I was trying to grow and get better, and still trying to cater coach manager kind of deal to my girl. Getting her ready to finally debut in boxing. Then finally we went to Nicaragua. We both took a trip out there. The most amazing experience I've ever experienced. Got catered to like a king almost because I was the national hero. And then we took my girl debuted at an amateur fight over there, and she fought twice in the same hour, 2 different locations. Never heard of that been done before, but she got 2 wins. And then at the second location is where I went and I fought, and I was already running late. So it was just a mess. Like, it was too relaxed.
A lot of stuff going on.
A lot of things going on. Way too many. I was too distracted. Then I got in there in a rush, and then I tried to like hit the gas fast, and I just pooped myself in the middle of the fight. And then Marco's looking at me, he's like, "Son, you're losing the fight. You take more punches like that this next round. I have the towel. I'm gonna throw it in." I was like, he's like, "We're losing the fight." I was like, "What? We're not losing." He's like, "I'm gonna throw the towel." I was like, "If you don't throw the towel." I went in there and I started beating that man for 6th, 7th, and 8th round, beating him, and I didn't do enough. And so, lesson learned. Can't leave it to the judges. You gotta stay on. Choco gives me a talk after. He's like, "You waited too long." He's like, "You do this a little in the gym too much." He's like, "You gotta stay consistent with your game plan. You can't take your foot off the game plan." And lessons, the world champions teaching me. So I was like, all right, for sure. So now in sparring, I approach it different, right? Like, I try to stick to the game plan. I'm sticking.
Yeah.
Do it. It's been a year since that fight. 2 days out from coming back and finally fighting again. It's been a long road because when I got back from Nicaragua in July, after I had my fight over there, I fought May 29th. I got back like a week after that, and I started looking for a fight out here. But Marco's like, "We need time. We need like 3 more months, like, to work on our mistakes. We need to get your gas right." So we started working, and then in between all that, from when we landed, my girl had 2 fights. By the time I was picking up my next fight, which was gonna be under Quicksilver Hill Promotions with Virgil and Edgar, A1A Boxing, at the Burbank Marriott, I'm getting ready already for the fight. My girl already has like 6 fights, USA boxing fights. I started hitting the gas when we got back, got her book. We started traveling. I drove her out to Arizona. I drove her out to up north twice. I drove her down to San Diego. We almost drove to Mexicali. We were fighting everywhere. We fought in Las Vegas. We fought because there's no girls to really get matched up with. So we finally found her. I was emailing. I was on the phone with people. I was doing the whole thing, right? Trying to get her fights. And then I got her 6 fights. Then I took my fight, and I was like, okay, it's late September. I agreed to the fight. A month into training camp, I'm starting to pick up the rounds now. I'm going like 6, 7, 7 rounds. I'm like, all right, gas is feeling better. I'm looking better. And then on one of my sparring sessions, I throw a right hand, a lazy one, no power, last punch, last round, every round, and that broke my hand. Wow. All right. So my long-awaited debut in California, especially being so close to home, my homecoming gets canceled because I broke my hand. I broke my right hand, and that put me out from October all the way to like January. By that time, Chocolatito had already arrived, December, January, and he was going to fight in March. So I was like, man, he's fighting in March, and I'm not even going to be a part of this because I broke my hand. Like, but then God works in mysterious ways. I go back there. Oh, it hit fast. I'm like, all right, well, don't punch up. Give it like 3 more weeks, and then give it like 2 weeks. I started hitting the bag a little bit. I was like, hey, I'm good for spar. Let's go. And I started sparring Chocolatito again, and I helped him for that second camp. And right into camp, and I started bam, 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 fighting, sparring him, and then healed my hand. And now it's August, and here I am. I'm ready to finally make my homecoming fight.
So tell us about this fight. I mean, it's happening this Thursday
This Friday, I
or
wait.
Friday. Okay.
Yes, August 19th on Friday. I've been again. I've had the coach and manager hat on, right? So about 5.5 weeks ago, I was out in Kansas, Wichita, Kansas, because
Mhm.
Brooke fought for her first national competition for USA
Yes.
boxing, and she actually placed gold in her division, 114 pounds. And
Nice.
she beat some girls that have had over 30 fights, but it didn't stop her. She stopped one of them. She beat down the other two, and she took gold. So as we're over there handling that, I had 818 Boxing sends over one of their master boxers, and I cornered him too. So I had two fighters that I have to really like cater to, right? So
Mhm.
I'm really on the coach's seat. But when I got there, prior to getting there, I was sparring my girl, helping her, get used to that
Yeah.
amateur style, that fast, blah, 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 blah. So it was never, I'm sparring her and for me, the benefit of me, I'm sparring her for the benefit of her. So it's
Yes.
completely different, right? Like, but I had air in me. I could go 4, 5, 6 rounds with her of that movement, right? And punching a lot. And then I go back as the coach over there. But when I landed, I don't know what told me I have to stay on it. Stay on your diet because 2 months prior, everybody kept asking me, like, hey, when are you fighting? When are you? Because Brooke's been fighting. She's from May
So
29th,
busy. Yeah.
May 29th to this last tournament, which happened in July. She's 13-1,
Yeah.
ranked number 4 in the nation in her weight class. Qualified enough to go to December and fight for the number 1 spot at her weight class for the nation.
Nice.
So she's been busy, which makes me busy because I have to cater to her as
Mhm.
half assistant coach and management, right? Like I'm getting her all these fights. I'm trying to book this. I'm trying to get her sponsors
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
pay for this. Uh, but then people look at me like, okay, you're sparring and everything too. But so when are you fighting? When are you fighting? And something in my gut, something in my heart told me like I'm gonna fight in August. I don't know when, I don't know where. I was like, but I'm looking for a date, and they're like, oh, okay, well let us know. And everybody from LA to Coachella, everybody's asking like, when are you fighting? When are you fighting? I was like, man, something like late July, early August. I don't know. I was throwing that date out of my butt. I didn't have nothing lined up. I hadn't talked to any promoter, nothing. I was just blowing smoke, but I was just manifesting now that I look back.
Yeah.
I was saying it out loud because if I didn't say it out loud and I kept it inside, that's exactly how I was going to say. And I might not even have thought it. So I just kept, oh yeah, July or August, one of those dates. I don't know when, but I'm looking for a date.
Mhm.
And at that point, Marco started kind of poking at me like, so, whoa, when you fighting, like you don't have a date. Like, I can get you a fight, but we got a lot of mistakes to fix, like before we can step up, because Marcos has the connection. He does.
Mhm.
But he's not going to put me in the line of fire when he knows we have mistakes to fix.
Correct.
So, and we haven't fought enough to proven that we fixed them. You know what I'm saying? Sparring is different. So that's the coach. But then now he's like, I care about both of you. Like, you guys are my kids. We've had that bond already.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you go in there and be anybody's punching bag.
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen under my watch. So we gotta make sure that we're ready. I'm like, all right. So then we start getting ready. Then Brooks thing happened, and we flew out to Kansas. And while I'm there, I had already reached out to a couple of promoters. One of them hits me back. He said, "Hey, we got you a slot." All right, when? Or August 19th. I'm like, okay, 5 weeks away, and I'm over here being a coach though. Damn. All right, I'll take it. So we came down this way. As soon as she ended up winning, and then we came back
Mhm.
home, got into sparring, and whoa, my gas was not there because I had taken some
And
time off,
mhm.
coach's hat, but it wasn't that I wasn't physically ready. I don't think mentally ready. I was there for the rounds, right? So I went
Okay.
in the 2 rounds and I was like pooped mentally, and then it made me seem like I was pooped physically. And then Mark was like, "You are not ready. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we're turning every round up to 4 minutes, and we're gonna do choco style. We're gonna have to train you like a championship fight because this is what he's sparking. So it's 4 minute rounds. Every time anybody's in there with him, just find 4 minute
Yeah.
rounds. Better get ready." And every sparring session, we kept adding one round. Every spar, and then I ended up by the second week, third week, it was 5, 6, 4 minute rounds. which I'm only fighting a 6-round fight because the promoter didn't want to give me an 8-rounder because I've never fought in California. I've never had my homecoming fight. So how can they trust somebody on that high slot of 8 rounds to sell that many tickets if he's never fought? So I understood it. I understand my place. I'm like, all right, give me the 6-rounder. I'll prove it to you that I can sell. Okay. So they gave me the slot. Turned out my sparring. I'm sparring like the 114-pound number 2 in the nation, junior division. Way taller than me. I don't know what they feed these kids these days. Kids like 5'7", 5'8", like 114 pounds, 15 years old. Like you hit like 25. But I mean, that's the future, man.
So what promotion and what weight are you fighting at?
So you know this, that I debuted at 135 pounds. Every fight we kept trying to go lower. My second was 132. My third, fourth, fifth was like 130. I missed weight once in Mexico. I missed weight once in North Dakota because that was always an issue with weight. But again, I think it was more mental than anything because I know I can do it because I've done it now. My last fight under 818 boxing was like October 16th or something like that. You were in my corner also, 2020. It was when the pandemic was still going on. I fought in Rosarito and I debuted at 126 pounds for the first time with a 6-pack that I've never had in my life. So I was pretty proud of that. I was like, wow, all right. I mean, the muscles don't win you the fights because I was winning fights prior without them.
Right.
Now I look the part, which is great. And then finally we went ahead and fought in Nicaragua and we did a catch weight of 125 because the guy was a 126er. But we wanted some kind of leeway. We're like, hey, well, you got to come down to me because I'm fighting at like 123, right? So 125, and then the guy made 125 and a half, and I made 123 by mistake. Lowest I've ever been in my life. I was like, whoa. So I can make 122. So this fight, I challenged myself, and I told myself I wanted to fight at 122. And as of today, I left the gym at 124.
That's awesome, man. That's
day and a half left.
That's a lot of hard work right there. And dedication.
Discipline.
Yeah, discipline. Yes. I
Because
mean,
you're not motivated every day. That's for the birds. Motivation dies out one day, you have it the next. You won't have it for 6 months, and then you'll have it for the next 3 months. But the discipline keeps you on track.
And you would say discipline means just a lifestyle change?
Yeah, I think one that's what I pulled away from like the last couple camps that I've had here. The discipline that goes into the camps, the hard work. So I felt like I've had 3 phases in my life, and the first phase was when I was amateur, when I was trying to chasing this pro thing with my first coach. Because of him, I found faith. He brought faith into my life. I found God. I found Jesus. I repented for all the stuff that I had done in the past. I got lost in Christ, and then that fell apart with that coach. And then I got taught hard work. And that with hard work, anything is possible. And that came from Edgar.
Yeah.
Coach Edgar at 818 taught me that there's always a way. As long as we're breathing, there's always a way.
I remember it was either when I met you or he talked to me about you. Well, I think I met you. We were probably out at the tacos or something like that. Yeah. And I saw you were probably like close to 200 at the time. He goes, he's gonna fight at this weight, and I was like, okay, man, that's cool.
Yeah,
but he was like, I mean, so
he's gonna get them there. We're gonna get him there. He's gonna fight there.
He knew he could, you would get there and stuff. So
that's why I always say like that's the guy that believed in me when I didn't, because I did not believe. When I got to him, I was shambles. I did not believe in myself. He saw something in me, took me under his wing, put me to work, and here I am.
No, that's it. And I know you're, just from everything I see from you, the way you speak about your daughter. I mean, I know Adrian's like probably the most important person in your life, and besides probably your family, Brooke, but I know you do a lot for your baby, and Is that one of the where you pull a lot of your strength, the sacrifice?
The well, me being on that toilet, I cried because it was a decision making time where I cried and I saw my weight and I was like, I have a baby on me. Like I could just get lost in this work 9 to 5 life and try to move up the ladder,
Yeah.
try to make good money. I'm miserable. I don't want to raise a daughter being miserable because kids, I think I'm a testimony to it. Like having her here when I do have her here, right? Because now she goes to school, so she's a lot with her mom. But when I have her here and when I bring her out to people, kids are going to be a representation of us, of the
Yeah.
parents. And every single time that I've ever heard anything when she's around us or with us and they meet people like when she's with us, it's like, wow, she's an amazing kid. Respectful, like so smart, super outgoing and talkative. She can hold her own in a conversation with like an adult and
Yeah.
make wise choices and wise conversation. Like it's not dull. She's a really smart child and respectful. Faith, she has it. She prays every night, at least when she's with us, right? And then I think that's just a reflection of what's being instilled in her. And the
Yeah.
only way to do that was me chasing my happiness and chasing the dream that I've had since a little boy. If not, I would be miserable and I would not have that representation of that child. Like
For her.
probably be bitter, probably be out here cursing and doing God knows what,
She
like
wouldn't see a positive or a happy version of you.
version of
If
me.
it, yeah.
And that I think is what tweaked my mind. I was like, I need to be the best version of me so I could be the best version for her,
Yeah.
which is what caused me to reach out to Ed to begin with. And just to be a better version of me for her. I'm not gonna be lying here and say I'm the best dad and I spend the most time with her and everything and I give her the world because I don't have the world. Uh, Fighters are not naturally rich, they're not wealthy per se, right? 95% of us are broke. 5% is what you see on TV.
Yeah.
But just chasing my dream daily. Like she goes, if she's here, she spends the 3-4 hours at the gym. Literally every day that we're there. She spends it there. She'll train half of it and she'll be jumping around from the turnbuckles the other hour and then annoying probably coach or someone trying to snacks or something because she's always like the snack queen. She has all the snacks. So I think that is going to impact her life in the correct way. Having her around, seeing she knows, she knows a lot. Like I literally can call her right now and she'll ask me what's my weight. Am I closer to 122? Because when she left, I was 127. So she's like, "Oh wow, you're 3 pounds away. Dad, great job.
Wow.
Hey, just 2 more days." This is a 6-year-old going on 7, and she's telling me she knows what the hard work is. She sees us
She
go through
sees it.
the beatings and sparring. She sees me get yelled at by my own coach, almost making me cry because I'm not getting it right. She'll see that, see it, and she'll be like, "It's okay, you tried your best." That's what she'll tell me right after I get off, and I'm like emotional about, damn, I didn't do right. Like, I wasn't able to get off and do what I needed to do. And she'll see me like going through it, but she'll come and she'll say, "Hey, as long as you try your best, right?" That's a
Right.
6-year-old.
Wow. She's
If
very
that
young.
doesn't get you up, going, all right, well then let's get it. I got to try my best the next time. So, and I think that comes from her constantly being raised in the gym, seeing me chase something that she sees on TV, but now I think it's more real to her because she knows Chocolatito and she sees him on TV all the time. She sees that he's a world champion, a 5-time world champion, and then treats her like that's an uncle.
Yeah.
Like, so she's like, "Oh, so wait, this is possible for my dad. He just has to keep doing what he's doing, working hard." And then she'll ask, "So wait, is Rookie gonna fight professional one day without the headgear? Because I think she's gonna be a champion."
Wow, that's good.
She says it about her own stepmom. So working hard enough to get closer, an inch closer, an inch closer every single time to our dreams, I think that right there can be have a beautiful impact in her life. And that's now collectively as a family here, me and Brooke trying to raise her when we do have her, maximize the time that we spend with her and less
Yeah.
teaching. I think that's what's gonna have a very, very positive impact in her life. And that's now like, yes, I derive the the strength to be able to sacrifice everything that I sacrificed and give it all in the beginning, right, for her. But now it's to teach her that dreams are not too far away if you just work hard and stay disciplined and committed to it. Because how many times could we have quit? Too many times before.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank
that's a good point. That's good. Well, we're almost to the end of the interview, but I do want to get a couple if you want to give us some shout outs, shout out your sponsors, who's sponsoring you for this upcoming
Man, I had
fight. Yeah.
guys, people, small companies, big companies that because of them I'm professional. Like I said, a lot of my fights, yeah, they weren't TJ. I mean, they were tough fights. A
Mhm.
lot of people would knock TJ and they're ah, he
No,
pro.
those are tough fights, man. Those are tough fights.
Okay, go try to do that yourself.
Yep.
Go and fight 10 fights over there and see how good you come out. Because they're fighting, those guys are fighting. They're fighting to earn every penny.
Yes.
Their next meal, and they come to fight. They come to give it all, and I have much respect to the guys in TJ. They've built me to be where I'm at, so I give respect to where it's due. Yeah, you take a loss, but you're in there like 2 weeks later trying to get another win. So
Yes.
you gotta tip my hat off to that. My sponsors, man, like a lot of them, believe it or not, still ride with me from the 818 San Fernando area. Like I got Chemos Chorizo, that's a friend of mine from like way back, and he started his own chorizo company, right? And he delivers, he makes artisanal chorizo from
No.
Zacatecas, if I'm not mistaken. Just a certain way that they make it there. Great chorizo. I use it for some of my diets, so I can make weight with that. So
It's good.
Chemos Chorizo, best chorizo around. PG Shoring and Drilling. Gabriel Barajas out there in San Fernando. He's been a part of my team for as long as I can remember. I gotta say thankful to him and Edgar. I'm able to be a professional and stay a professional and keep fighting because they've looked out for me every
Mhm.
single fight. I have so many little sponsors. I have Brooke Cibrian. She counts herself as one of my sponsors because I wear a patch of her logo on my shorts, and we're a team. Same likewise with me and her. She represent me because she's there because I am there, and I'm there because she's here. 818 Boxing. I don't train there, but that's my family, and I always rep them because, believe it or not, like half of my ticket sales are probably coming out of there. So that's the beauty of it. When you don't burn bridges. That's one thing. Another lesson that Edgar told me is never burn a bridge because you never know when you're gonna have to go back to it. And
Yes.
that's a lesson I hold very close to my heart. Very, very close to my heart. So always thankful to Edgar. He's gotten me to where I'm at now and still helping. So super thankful. Lot of little sponsors. Damn, I can't think of all of them. That's terrible. That is terrible. My newest sponsor is MVP Plumbing. MVP Plumber out of the San Fernando and the greater LA area. They made a generous donation for this camp. Money's tight everywhere, man. Like
Yes.
from $200 to $100, $5 to $1,000. Everyone who pitches anything and anybody who buys a ticket, I'm extremely thankful for because without them, we're nothing. Without fans, without the support, without the sponsors that try to spend their hard-earned money on something that may not even come back to them, right? But because their belief keeps this engine going.
They believe in you.
So
Correct.
you've always looked out for us. Cutmen for Hire has always looked out. I order a small thing and I get a big package. I order a smaller thing and I still get something free. It's amazing. My coach loves your brand. Edgar obviously lives by Cutmen for Hire. That's all he ever buys. I buy my supplies there. You guys are amazing out there.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing, Juan. I see you in
Um,
every single corner, every single time. I'm proud of it.
Thank you, brother. And it is, I mean, this is the brotherhood, man. We got to uplift each other and keep working with each other and supporting each other, because the journey's it's a tough one, but it's a beautiful one once,
Yep.
it's
It's
a,
not the destination. It's about the journey. Because this destination, and we really want to talk about destination. Nobody gets out of here alive.
yeah, right.
Nobody.
That's it. So,
So we all know our destination. It's the journey that we gotta enjoy.
yeah, exactly. Where can people, and I know if you'll shout out the rest of your sponsors on your social media, where can people find you on
People
social
find
media?
me on social media. I'm big on Instagram. I'm not big, like influencer status, but I'm big there because I engage a lot. Like
Yes.
I might not have the numbers, but I engage a lot. So Instagram, Mega Soto, Twitter, Mega Soto Boxing. I'm not too crazy on Twitter, but I like getting my news from there. Um, and then Facebook, Jose Zamora Soto. But I don't know. I just kind of backed away from Facebook in the last couple of years, and I'm just like heavy on Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. Same
Promote,
here.
promote, promote, promote my girl, promote myself, promote the gym I train at, my sponsors that are constantly helping me and um, showing love. I have Encore Automotive in the Coachella Valley, huge, huge sponsor for both me and Brooke. Like always has blicked out. We have so many people. J&A Renovations, ran by Matthew Edwards out there in San Fernando Valley. Like that's my brother right there, the grave, and he's helped us out time and time again. It's just amazing that we're today here standing because of people who just
All
support.
the support. Yeah, yeah. No, that's good. It makes a big difference. I mean, in a fighter's, career. So thank you, sponsors, for all
Yes,
you do.
all the time. But yeah, I mean, August 19th, you could catch the fight at Commerce Casino. If you
Okay.
can't make it out, it's gonna be on Fight TV for I think 19.99 if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. So Fight TV is gonna be holding the event. It's called Next Gen One, Next Gen Boxing One, and I mean, I hope that this is just the first of many cards that I get on because if we sell this one out like I'm already expected to,
Yes.
we get this win, how we've trained to do so, I'm more than likely possibly going to be on the second one, and which not probably in like 2 months.
And
So
I- and and I can, speak from watching you in many fights. The fans are gonna get their money's
they'll
worth.
get their money's worth. I'm
They're
for
gonna get their
sure a
money's
guy
worth.
that loves to engage a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little too much, but we've been working on that. That's why we're here. We're here learning. We're trying to get a lot of
Mhm.
punches off of me and not trying to land too many punches on me and be able to strike while iron's hot. Make sure we get the finish. And if we don't get the finish, we're ready for 6 rounds.
Nice, nice. So I like to do this next segment with all my guests. It's called 12 rounds in 60 seconds. That's where I throw out 12 questions and blur out the first thing that comes to mind. You
All
want to
right.
play? You ready? Ready
Hit
for
it.
this? All right, Mega. So what's your favorite fight movie?
My favorite fight movie has to be Rocky 4.
Rocky Four.
My dog got the name from her, Adrian.
Adrian right there. Tacos, adobada, asada, or tripa? Which one?
Adobada.
Adobada. Your dream car.
What was that?
Your dream car.
My drink?
No, dream. A
My
dream car?
dream car.
Yeah.
It would have to be like a Porsche GT.
Best city for fights. What city would you love to fight in?
I would mind fighting in New York just because.
Guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure. I watched this thing called Monarca on Netflix. It's like a novella, but in English. It was great.
Nice. Favorite all-time movie.
Forrest Gump.
if you could share the ring with any boxer, past or present, who would it be?
Crazy, but I've already accomplished that.
Nice.
Ratito.
Favorite boxer growing up?
Alexis Arguello.
Favorite music?
Salsa.
Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
The one walkout song you like to roll
Walk
down?
out. Oh man, I'm just actually having a hard time choose this one. So I think it's gonna be Marlin de la Salsa, and it's called Mi Nicaragua.
Nice.
'Cause
First meal after your fight. What's that meal you're gonna go to after
oh
that?
man, I'm torn right now. We're actually talking about it today because today was the day where I'm dying. I'm like, oh man, I'm just daydreaming about food. There's since I'm in LA, there's a really, really good Nicaraguense restaurant not too far from there in LA downtown. So I'm considering that, or I'm considering just some pasta.
That's
Either,
it.
either pasta or I'm gonna have to go with some Mexican food.
You better tell me stay open. Hey, stay open.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's an early fight, so it's an early
Okay.
weigh-in. It's at 11 a.m. So
Nice, nice.
I get to eat. I get a lot of time to refuel, so that's great.
Cool, cool. So Mega, that's 12 rounds in 60 seconds. Thank you for being a guest here on those championship rounds. It was nice to catch up with you, man. It's been a minute since we talked. Yeah, it's been a while, but I do see the progress you're doing. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Juan.
The just the growth in you as a human being, and just praying that that God continues to bless you with the right people, the right mindset, and just giving you the best vibes, and praying for you in your next fight that everything turns out great for you.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Likewise, over here, we're always praying for you. We're always praying for the success of both your businesses going on, and that's why we're willing to just step to the side and get this interview in.
Nah, thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man.
Of
Well,
course.
less than a day, right?
Yeah, I mean, it happened same day,
Yeah. So
but it
thank
happened.
you for joining us today, joining me today. And I know with weight, you're doing the weight cut, you're doing all that, but you're still in good spirits, and that's a big difference from 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, I can, you're
Yeah,
not
I mean, I got pulled out of a jacuzzi once with a backache, complaining that I was dying. Remember?
yeah. So
And I'm missing weight, by the way. Here I am, 10 pounds lighter, and interviewing and everything.
right. So
Power.
no, but that right. No, but thank you, Jose. I appreciate the time you spent with me today, and look forward to checking out your fight this Friday.
Thank you,
Any,
Juan.
any
Good to see it.
anything else you want to before we go?
That's all, man. Just God bless everybody. Don't ever forget that whatever hard time, dark time in your life that you're going through, that our Creator made us to be happy beings, and to love one another. He loves us all.
Amen to that, brother. All right, then, Jose. Well, thank you, and we'll be in touch. Saludos to Brooke, Coach, everybody out there. And wishing you the best this Friday.
Thank you so much, Juan. I appreciate it.
God bless. Bye bye.
God bless. Have a good one.
You too.